Hey, I'm AG. Welcome to this week's blog. So this week I'm coming to you from sunny San Diego, as you can see, where we're currently conducting a UTD Tech 2. One of the things I really noticed was this mismanagement of the Drysuit. So what I want to do in this week's blog, I want to talk a little bit about Drysuit management and some of the misconceptions that are happening. Let's go head over here and take a look at the Drysuit. So as you can see, this of course is a tri-laminate Drysuit, and I don't really care if it's the brand is UTD or not or whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, with a tri-laminate Drysuit, normally underneath the Drysuit you wear an undergarment. And the way this undergarment is designed to work is the undergarment is designed to work to have loft. And that loft, of course, is what keeps you warm. So if you dive the Drysuit too tight, squeezed, the undergarment will compress, you will not have that air layer, you will not have that loft, and therefore you won't basically be warm. So one of the first mistakes that a lot of people do when it comes to Drysuit diving is they believe they've got to dive it squeezed as hard as they can. And that is not true at all. In fact, the best way to dive a Drysuit is you climb into your Drysuit and you crouch down and you purge all the air out. When you stand back up, that amount of loft is how it should feel underwater when you're in good trim. So, if you're walking into the ocean, obviously the pressure down by your feet is much higher than the pressure up here by your chest when you're putting your fins on. So when you first are up there and the water's all the way to here, you're actually too squeezed. You're out of balance, aren't you? So you have to add enough air to have the loft back to a normal place. And that feeling, that loft, like I said, is when you purge your Drysuit, stand back up, and it's comfortable but not squeezed. That's tip number one. Tip number two, this is a big one, is you need to control this valve. You don't just open it all the way and leave it open. This is a huge mistake that I see all the time. Obviously, you open it when you descend. Once you arrive where you want to be, you get your loft to where you want to be, and I normally just give it a one turn. You'll find where yours is, so that when you are using the Drysuit, so in other words, when you are in your prone position and you do something like a valve drill, it doesn't automatically leak. I see that a ton when people don't know that their Drysuit's leaking because it's all the way open. So what they do is they go for a valve drill, they start losing buoyancy, and they're like, oh my goodness, what happened? It's leaking out of here. And I was seeing that a lot in the Tech 2 class. Now these guys are from Poland and they live in Norway and they dive in Norway and they exclusively dive Drysuit. They've got hundreds of dives in Drysuit and nobody's ever told them, all the way open when you descend, give it a turn. Of course on the ascent, right before I ascend, again I open it and then I control my ascent. See? The reason why you give that half a turn this way is that way when you're checking your gauge or you're moving tanks or you're doing something, it's not leaking and therefore changing your buoyancy once you have the correct loft in the Drysuit. Anyways, those are two quick tips that will really help you and improve your Drysuit skills. Of course, I highly recommend that you take a Drysuit class with an instructor, a qualified instructor, who can really teach you how to manage runaway valves, how to do tuck and rolls, how to purge from the neck, how to deal with wrist seals, and so forth and so forth and so forth. A good Drysuit class will also teach you all the emergency management of what happens if this thing starts self-inflating. What do you do? How do you manage it? Right? There's a lot of stuff that you've got to go through. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at info@unifiedteamdiving.com. Other than that, safe diving.